Okay, so this is week number 1 for August, and this starts the storytelling unit. You know what we're going to do for the next 5 months, right? Okay, so this should be a little bit of a refresher. I won't do the same stories. I never do. I always, I never recycle. I always do. I wouldn't say never, but unless they're my favorites, I try to, because I like to keep it fresh for myself. So we're going to talk about fables again. And fables are oral tradition. They are folklore, hundreds and thousands of years old. Like they were passed down from generation to generation. And we hear the name Aesop a lot. A Greek storyteller. He didn't write them. A lot of people give him credit. He didn't do it. What he did, though, was genius. He wrote them down. He collected them and he retold them, which is why we're going to do them today. So if you go through your packet, you're going to see there are 2 versions of the same story. Why would there be 2 versions? Because stories change when we tell them orally, don't they? If you've ever played the telephone game, you know, you tell a story, you may embellish it, you may change something up a little bit, and then over time, the gist of it's there, the moral is there, but there's little variations. So we're going to do that today. We're going to do both variations. So there's a couple things before we read these 2 stories are really necessary to know about fables. And number 1, they're super short, super short, which is a great way of saying you don't have to write a novel. A short story can be really compelling as long as it's really detailed and clever, which means you've got to be really precise with your wording. So a fable has 4 central characteristics. And the first one is probably the hardest one for kids, which is symbolism. Okay, so obviously the characters in fables are, for the most part, animals or inanimate objects. That's number 2, which is anthropomorphism. The one today is actually the exception. We're going to have a sheep herder, a boy, and villagers. So strangely, I don't know why I did that. I just really like this story. Symbolism is really tricky because symbolism takes a concrete idea and gives it a different meaning. So let me give you an example. Edgar Allan Poe, famous poet, storyteller, author. He likes to use black ravens and clocks. Now, think about a clock. That's a concrete object. It tells the time. In Edgar Allan Poe's prose, he often uses time to talk about the passing of time, time running out, or time standing still, which are more abstract ideas. They're more symbolic. So you're going to see that in fables. You're going to see a really clear maxim. It's going to spell it out. Like in Tortoise and the Hare, the most famous fable, slow and steady wins the race. Okay, so just to give you an idea how short the idea of Tortoise and the Hare is, the hare, obviously quick, if you know anything about rabbits, challenges the much slower tortoise to a race, believing he can easily beat him. At the onset of the race, the hare runs circles around the tortoise, taunting him, playing games. That's when you know something's going to go wrong. The hare runs ahead, leaving the tortoise far behind. Then he decides to take a nap. That's his downfall. The tortoise just keeps plodding along. At the end of the race, you see the tortoise crossing the finish line, and the hare is just waking up. So the maxim says, slow and steady wins the race. Okay, but most kids don't know what that means. So let me give you a real life application. Have you ever done a project, Viomini, where you took your time on it? You did a little bit every day. You put in really probably your utmost effort, and you were meticulous. What was the outcome of that? What would the outcome of that be? Pretty good, right? You'd feel proud of it. you'd probably have a really good grade on it. But we've also done the opposite. We've been in that position where, oops, it's last minute, we rush it, we don't do our best effort, we throw it all together, and we're not that proud of it. And the result is we're not going to make the grade that we want. Agreed? So is that applicable to anything in life? Slow and steady wins the race. Is that what you thought it meant? Good. Yay. Okay, good. Because today's going to be harder. Because, I got to challenge you, right? Okay, so the maxim tells the moral. Basically, what's right, what's wrong, what's ethical, what's not, what's immoral. And then finally, there's a little bit of humor, and it's intentional. That hare, running around, taunting the tortoise. It's kind of funny. It's a little funny. We may, and I'm a rule follower, meaning I think you're a rule follower too. And whenever I see somebody break the rules around me, I'm like, I wish I could do that, right? I think it's kind of funny. I don't do it myself because I'm a rule follower. Okay, so I'm going to give you the two different versions. Here we go. Version 1, the boy who cried wolf. There once was a shepherd boy who was bored as he sat on the hillside watching the village sheep. To amuse himself, he took a great breath and sang out, "Wolf, wolf, the wolf is chasing the sheep." The villagers came running up the hill to help the boy drive the wolf away. But when they arrived at the top of the hill, they found no wolf. The boy laughed at the sight of their angry faces. "Don't cry wolf, shepherd boy," said the villagers, "when there's no wolf." They went grumbling back down the hill. Later, the boy sang out again, "Wolf, wolf, the wolf is chasing the sheep." To his naughty delight, he watched the villagers run up the hill to help him drive the wolf away. When the villagers saw no wolf, they sternly said, "Save your frightened song for when there's really something wrong. Don't cry wolf when there's no wolf." Later, he saw a real wolf prowling about his flock. Alarmed, he leapt to his feet and sang out as loudly as he could, "Wolf, wolf!" But the villagers thought he was trying to fool them again, so they didn't come. At sunset, everyone wondered why the shepherd boy hadn't returned to the village with their sheep. They went up the hill to find the boy. They found him weeping. "There really was a wolf here. The flock has scattered. I cried out, 'Wolf, why didn't you come?'" An old man tried to comfort the boy as they walked back to the village. "We'll help you look for the lost sheep in the morning," he said, putting his arm around the youth. Nobody believes a liar, even when he's telling the truth. Okay, here's version 2. A shepherd boy tended his master's sheep near a dark forest not far from the village. Soon he found life in the pasture very dull. All he could do to amuse himself was talk to his dog or play on his shepherd's pipe. One day, as he sat watching the sheep in the quiet forest and thinking what he would do should he see a wolf, he thought of a plan to amuse himself. His master had told him to call for help should a wolf attack the flock, and the villagers would drive it away. So now, though he'd not seen anything that even looked remotely like a wolf, he ran toward the village shouting at the top of his voice, "Wolf, wolf!" As he expected, the villagers who heard the cry dropped their work and ran in great excitement to the pasture. But when they got there, they found the boy doubled up with laughter at the trick he'd played on them. A few days later, the shepherd boy again shouted, "Wolf, wolf!" Again, the villagers ran to help him, only to be laughed at again. Then one evening, as the sun was setting behind the forest and the shadows were creeping out over the pasture, a wolf really did spring from the underbrush and fall upon the sheep. In terror, the boy ran toward the village shouting, "Wolf, wolf!" But though the villagers heard the cry, they did not run to help him as they had before. "He cannot fool us again," they said. The wolf killed a great many of the boy's sheep and then slipped away into the forest. Maxim: liars are not believed even when they speak the truth. Okay, so which version did you like better?
I like the first one.
Interesting. It's been 50-50. I like the second one. And I'll tell you, what do you tell me? Why did you like the first one?
Because in the end of the story, the one of the villagers told him that you should not lie.
Okay, but let me tell you why I like the second one. I like that he suffered a consequence. I like that the wolf ate the sheep. You do know that's why wolf eat the sheep. So the first one the first one ending, I didn't like it so much. I did like other things though in the first one. So it's really interesting, right? They were both really good versions. Pretty much the same story. So I want you to go to page 4 and we're going to break down the story elements. So we have who, what, where, when, why, and how. And this is really important because you're going to do this today. So we have the who, we have a shepherd boy and the villagers. Notice we don't have any names. Why do you think there are no names here? It's not personal, is it? I think we can be more judgmental, and I think we're supposed to be when we don't know them, right? We don't feel emotionally connected. So anytime you have a story and you put a person's name, there's a little bit more personal connection. The plot development, and I always do this on my hand. So if you can put up your hand, I'll show you a really great way to remember it. And I kind of, okay, so the thumb is the beginning of the story. So at the beginning of the story, we have this bored shepherd boy who's, he's got a boring job. For the most part, he's just watching sheep, right? Keeping them corralled. He amuses himself by coming up with this plan. I'm going to cry wolf just to see what the villagers do, right? And that's the rising action. So every time he cries wolf, what do the villagers do?
They come, and then once they see there is no wolf, and then they get food.
Yeah, they're starting to get, after repetition here, after he does it a couple times, and he laughs at them, oof, oof, right? Inconveniences them, then laughs about it. He's basically pranking them. Okay, so the top, your middle finger, the top finger, is the climax. When does everything change? When does the story completely turn?
When the wolf actually comes.
So when there's a real wolf, and this time when he cries wolf, everything changes. The falling action, what do the villagers do this time?
They don't come, and they just keep working.
They do nothing, right? Okay, so almost the complete opposite. And then we have the conclusion. Why didn't you come? And they tell him, you pranked us. We didn't believe you this time. We didn't trust you. So I like that the wolf killed the sheep and the boy was to blame. I like that. I think it's fair. Okay. The setting, where and when. Okay, first of all, we know fables are hundreds, if not thousands of years old. So we can assume the when, way back when. The setting, I mean, come on. Do we have sheep and pastures in Coppell or around the Dallas-Fort Worth area? No. I don't think anybody'd want that job. So we kind of know the where. It's pretty clear. The story is really clear on that. You can't have a story without a conflict, and that's the why. Why is this an issue? The shepherd boy lies that there's a wolf. He thinks it's funny. He's pulling a prank, but he's wasting their time. And I'm pretty sure that if you pranked your parents and wasted their time, they'd be pretty angry, right? And maybe they wouldn't come to help you the next time. So the how is the theme. This is the overall message, and it's pretty clear here. No one, once you're known as a liar, no one believes you, even if you're telling the truth. So I think this one's a pretty easy. Yeah, and I think it's pretty clear. Okay, so we're going to do an application if you're ready. And I want to prepare you. Viomini, are you going into 7th?
I'm going to 6th.
Okay. This was a 7th grade STARS prompt. Okay. So what I thought about doing was, okay, let's look up the definition of a lie. I like to do that. So here's the textbook dictionary definition. To lie is to intentionally speak falsely, intentionally, with the sole purpose to deceive others or to give a false impression. Whoa, that kind of sounds harsh, right? Okay, and it should be noted The most damaging lies are the ones that are self-serving and come at the expense of others. That was shown in the fable, which is why we're kind of mad. We're like, okay, you got what you deserved. Okay, so I'm going to tell you this question that was on the STAR test. It is a trick question. You ask this question to a fourth grader, and they will answer it one way. They don't want that answer. They want higher level critical thinking. So let me kind of gear you to the answer before I tell you, because I think that definition of a lie is a little extreme, to intentionally speak falsely with the sole purpose to deceive others or give a false impression. I don't think that's all of the story. I think it's not black and white. I think there are little white lies, and I think there are big lies, right? I think there are damaging lies, and I think there are lies that are kind of harmless. So here's the question: is it ever okay to lie? And a fourth grader is going to say exactly what their mom and dad and their teachers and their coaches say. You don't lie. It is honesty is the best policy. You tell the truth. Okay. Of course, lying with the intent to deceive is ethically and morally wrong. That's not what we're going to talk about today in this essay. There are always exceptions to a general rule. So I'm going to let you think outside the box today. Okay. Now, I want to be clear. I do not condone lying. Okay. But what we know about fables is, here's what they do. Fables purposely poke fun of human nature. This is a story that's probably thousands of years old, Biomini, and I think you understood the message. You know why? Because we all lie every day. And I'm going to come clean with you. I had a solicitor call me today. And, hey, ma'am, do you have time to talk? No, I don't. So sorry. Too busy. Bam. Biomini, I wasn't busy. I lied. 100% lied. Okay. I don't want to talk to a solicitor. I was trying to be nice about it. And I didn't consciously think I'm going to lie to them. I was kind of trying to let them down easy. I know people, because I know friends that have been pulled over by the police, and the policeman says, ma'am, did you know you were speeding? Oh, no, officer. I had no idea. I was just going with traffic. Or did you know you ran that red light? No, sir. It was green when I looked at it. Biomini, really? Really? Okay, so these are the lies that I think people, don't kind of own up to. We own up to the big ones, but I think the little ones we kind of gloss over. So I'm going to give you some examples here. And before I do that, I want to tell you, that's what I love about this fable. It is human nature to lie. I'm going to tell you a true story. When my daughter was like 2, and a 2-year-old is a toddler, they don't quite have the reasoning that even you have right now. And she did something. I go, did you do that? And she's like, no, no, Mama, I didn't do it. I'm like, you're 2. You're 2. No one taught you to lie, right? That's how instinctive lying is. Okay, but we look at lies and we look at it in this story like, oh my gosh. Okay, let me give you an example situation. What if a child lies so they don't hurt someone else's feelings? So here's a little story for you. 8-year-old Sam was told he could only invite 10 friends to his birthday party. Okay. So at school, after he, mails all the invitations to his 10 friends, he finds all his classmates talking about his birthday coming up on Saturday. His friend Bob comes up and says, why wasn't I invited? And Sam says, I did invite you. You must have lost your invitation in the mail. Right? Can you just see that happening? He lied. He didn't want to let his friend Bob down. After school, Sam explained to his mom what happened and how he didn't want to hurt Bob's feelings. So he invited him to his party, even though he knew he was supposed to limit it to 10 friends. And of course, Sam's mom understood and told him it would have been better if Sam had been honest, but she knew he meant well. That's a sticky situation, don't you think? Not simple. Do you blame that 8-year-old for just saying, I'm so sorry, it got lost in the mail? Okay, let's go to the next one. What if a person lies to protect someone else? And this one has a typo in it. Lily discovered Bella was making fun of her teammate, Jill. Everyone was told that Jill was a bully. Okay, Lily told Bella, keep your mouth shut and stop spreading false rumors. You know how girls are, meaning. We're the worst. Yeah. Lily knew Jill was a nice person and did not deserve to have people think she was a mean girl. So as rumors spread, Jill found out. She confronts Lily, asking her who started all this. Who started this rumor? Of course, Lily knows who started the rumor, but Lily doesn't say anything. Okay, she did not tell Jill it was Bella. Why? She didn't want to be put in the middle. And if she told the truth, she figured it would make matters worse. She's right. It's not simple. Let me ask you this. What if the teacher asks you, Viomini, if your friend cheated on the test and you saw her and you know she did, but it's your best friend and she will never speak to you again if you tell that teacher that she cheated? What do?
I would say that I don't know.
Yeah. Little white lie. Not so simple, is it? Okay, so a response like this tells the person, whoa, this is very mature, advanced, high-level thinking. They understand the subtleties, the nuances, that it's not black and white. What if a person lied because they're giving constructive criticism? This actually happened to my daughter. In preparation for a school dance, two friends, Neela and Fern, decide to watch YouTube videos and try out new ways to put on their face makeup. Neela took one look at Fern and gasped. Fern asked her to tell her honestly how she looked. Instead of telling Fern her makeup looked awful, she decided to stretch the truth a bit. Like how I said that? Neela started off by telling Fern it was a bit too much in certain areas, but if she allowed her to help tone it down, it could look amazing. If Neela had told her up front how hideous it looked, it would have destroyed Fern by sugarcoating the truth. Do you like that? Okay. Neela was able to help Fern not go to the dance looking like a clown. Okay. So this is the one thing you're going to want to do. Lie, lie, lying, lie, 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 lie. So you're going to see here in a minute on the outline, I'm going to be really clear to use synonyms. We don't want to repeat the same word. Last one, Sue forgot all about completing her part of the group project. When her group members asked her if she was ready to share her part, she panicked and lied and told them her computer had a glitch and everything she'd worked on for hours was lost. Do you know how many times I've heard that excuse, Viomini? Yeah. She didn't plan to make up the excuse. The words popped out of her mouth. Her fellow group members told her, well, if you've already done the work once, you should be able to redo it again. We want it tomorrow. So Stu had to stay up late to complete her part. She knew they would not believe her if she made up another lie. Okay, so it's called saving face when you lie like that. It's and it's almost like you can't help it. It just kind of pops out. Okay, are these intentional? Not really. Are they malicious? Are they intending to harm someone else? Usually it's the opposite. They're usually intended to protect. Okay, so you'll notice the lead here. I already gave you that answer. On page 4, when I gave you the five W's and I gave you the plot is the summary. That's the summary. So that's going to go in the lead. The conclusion is going to tell you, well, what happened in the story. After crying for help when there was no wolf in sight, the villagers were justified to feel anger. The boy was supposed to watch the sheep and call for help in an emergency to protect the flock. In the end, because of his foolishness, when a real wolf comes and the boy needs help, the villagers don't believe him. The obvious conclusion to be drawn is lying created a big problem, which could easily have been avoided. And I think he deserved what he got, don't you? So that's, kind of the conclusion we're going to draw here. In the thesis, we're going to answer the prompt. As a general rule, it's important to be honest. And I believe that. There are exceptions when telling a lie. At home, that's going to be your first one. At school, your second one. might be the best course of action. When at home, here we go, topic sentence, a child might notice it's not lie, stretch the truth. When a parent asks them a question because they fear punishment. This is that great example, did you do what I asked you to do? Did you clean up your room? Did you do that chore? Yeah, sure did. And then you run up there and you do it really quickly, right? Yeah, you can stretch the truth a little bit. So what you're going to do is create a story exactly like the examples I gave. Now, I made these up, meaning I made them up. This is third person point of view, which is more fun because you can embellish and tell the story. I did add names because adding names makes it more personal. It is a fictitious made up situation where a child might tell a white lie to their parent. Well, every day, right? Every day. Even though it may be better to tell the truth, sometimes a child does not want to be in trouble. So they mislead their parents. Yes. It gets worse when they're your sister's age. Body 2. This is the easier one. At school. I'm pretty sure you see it every day. There are certain situations where it might be necessary for a student to be dishonest to a teacher. You weren't going to tell on your friend that she cheated. You should have, but you're not gonna, because you're not going to rat out your friend. You won't have a friend if you do, right? It's not simple, is it? So that'd be kind of a fun story to tell. You're going to tell a second story here. In this situation that we talked about, it's necessary to be deceiving to protect the other person and almost yourself, because that teacher kind of put you in an awkward situation, didn't she? Yeah, it's not so simple. Okay, so 2 stories. The lead, you can literally take from page 4, the plot development, and create your own summary from that in your own words. And then in the conclusion, you connect the story and then connect your 2 ideas. Okay, in the story, right? It was intentional. It was malicious. That's not the lies that we're talking about here. Does that make sense? These are white lies, and even though I don't condone lying, and you shouldn't lie, there are situations, and of course, that's what fables do, is human nature. Unfortunately, we lie. And I'm guilty of it too. Because guess what? I'm human. Okay. All right. Any questions?
Miss Hensel, about
Well,
so
let me stop the recording and then you can ask me the question without, does that make sense?